Hey guys, welcome to another commentary done by Diggity. This is going to be the second set between Incontrol and Praetor. Originally this was a triple commentary with Future and Psionic. However, Psionic hasn't got me the replays. It's been about 3 days of me off and on asking for them, and to be honest, triple commentary from Ventrilo to recorded off replay video processing takes forever. It is one of the most time-intensive types of commentary I have found. I think it's been about 4, maybe 5 or 6 hours of work on the other 4 videos, so I figured what I would do is I'd just do it straight off replay instead of waiting for Psionic, because it's been a long time getting these going. I've been delayed, and I know Incontrol's getting antsy because he's like, where are the games? I'm like, yeah, I know, I'm lazy. Sorry. So anyway, it looks like we have Praetor starting the bottom left-hand corner as the teal protoss, upper right-hand corner. We have Incontrol as the red zerg, and this is going to be on Blue Storm. I assume that most of you guys are familiar with Blue Storm, but just in case, pylon being laid for a fast expansion. I almost feel like Protoss are obligated to go fast expansion on this map because you've got a pretty wide gap here over your secondary. And because you really need those cannons to defend against speed zerglings early, in my opinion. You can create front door blockades, but anyway, speaking of which, it looks like Incontrol has gone for a 9 pool. I know that zergling run-bys can be effective on this map. Also, mutalisks tend to be effective over the secondary. Not as effective as they used to be, but pretty wide gap laid in here so you can actually lay some cannons, some things like that. Help deal with those mutalisks a little bit better, but nevertheless, mutalisks still very effective. Incontrol not known for his mutalisk play, and also this map has been played so much on the foreigner scene that I think most players are kind of accustomed to it, so I almost feel like the game's kind of balanced out as a result. We'll see what Praetor's got for Incontrol though, and we'll see what Incontrol has planned for Praetor. It looks like at this stage he's thinking about some speed zerglings to start. Stereotypically, what you'll see is, I know that Savior likes playing the style. I've seen other Zerg be very successful with it, which is just produce a couple speed Zerglings to try to kill that probe scout early, throw that Protoss player into the dark, and then just go from there. Looks like we're already seeing that fast expand laid out, and this is an interesting front door build. He's probably where these 2 cannons are being placed. They'll be pretty good against the run by, but he's probably going to want to lay down a 3rd cannon to protect that mineral line because it doesn't quite cover that mineral line to that right hand corner. But he'll only need 1 probe really to help block this gap because the Zerglings coming around. It'll have just basically a hard time. The Zergling's already starting to sprint off. Praetor already on top of things and very intelligently backing that probe out, and you can see Incontrol just running around trying to find where that scout went. Yeah, he's definitely going after that probe scout, and it looks like he already has speed on the way. Praetor in the meantime has those 2 cannons up. He's probably just going to shift into an expansion after this. I can't imagine him doing anything else with that, and yeah, just trying to find this wily probe scout. Looks like the probe coming right back around to deny that expansion, so it's still being useful even though almost getting taken out a little bit earlier, just slowing Incontrol up a little bit, trying to harass him, and doing a pretty successful job of it, but it looks like he is now pinned in. Breaking these Ling's legs, at least momentarily staying alive here, not actually getting any scouting information though, outside of just that there's another expansion going down, which is pretty standard off a 9 pool, which I think Praetor pretty much already knew was happening, and Incontrol doing a pretty good job of at least isolating that probe away from his main. It looks like now he's going to be able to take it out, and I'll see if Praetor can get another scout out. This is going to be the critical moment. There's that gateway up in front. Looks like the Nexus alongside, and again, well actually I think that might reach, but he's going to put down another cannon again just to first of all protect against any speedlings that might run by, and also again to do a little bit better protection against mutalisks, and also that mineral line. Looks like the Zergling's coming up to this gap just in case a probe was thinking about sneaking out there. An immediate 3rd hatchery for Incontrol. He's already got additional gas mining, so probably going to see a 3 hatch build tech to layer. We'll see what he decides to choose as far as tech, if he goes mutalisks or if he goes lurker tech into the mid game. Praetor already swinging into that fast expansion. He's already got a lot of probes on the blockade actually, and he's losing a lot of mining time here because he's got Future actually pointed this out. He's got a pretty solid wall. He's got the 3 cannons up. He only needs 1 or 2 probes to blockade this. He's losing a lot of mining time with the other 3, but in the meantime doing an end around with this scouting probe, completely bypassing the Zerglings that are waiting out in the middle of the map. So he is going to be able to get a pretty good spot and timing this rather well. So we'll be able to get into this base right as this layer is about halfway to see whether lurkers or whether that spire is being planted. Nexus now online, but still, yeah, 5 probes. He's losing a significant amount of mining time. He's also probably going to be able to see this third hatchery at that mineral only. Let's see if he swings back around that direction. This is where Incontrol has to go like crap. Looks like, yeah, let's see if these Zerglings come back around. Now the Zergling's starting to swing back around. That's always annoying as a Zerg player. And now he's seeing that lair. He's seeing that it's halfway built, and he's not seeing not seeing a Hydralisk den placed at any location. He is seeing those additional drones transfer, so let's see if he can key in on that to know that that mineral only has in fact been produced. Cybernetic score in the meantime down in his base, and a little bit slower on the Stargate than he would be otherwise, again because of that delayed mining time, I'm going to assume. Looks like that probe trying to push out to that mineral only, not having it. Looks like a Hydralisk den being placed by Incontrol, even though that layer is already produced. So I would not be surprised if Incontrol is just will put down a Spire as well. And let's see if he can, because oftentimes, able to kill that probe scout, but it did in fact see, and he is putting a Spire down at his secondary. He did in fact see that Hydralisk den. He did in fact see that layer, but it is conceivable that Incontrol could just switch up to Mulisks once again, depending on what he sees in the backfield. Second assembler now going up, weapons 1 also being upgraded, and it looks like there's that Stargate. I might have missed it here in that upper left hand corner of the base. Kind of odd positioning, but it looks like Citadel of Adun being placed. We'll see if additional gateways, if we see a couple more gateways, probably going to see that standard +1 Zealot attack. It's been kind of the bread and butter of Protoss players lately. It is conceivable we will see a Dark Templar attack, but I can't see that being all that effective against Incontrol at this stage. It looks like he's got pretty good coverage. Let's see if he gets an additional Overlord. If he keeps this Overlord at a secondary, he'll be okay. Storm drops might be a little bit more effective. And that first Corsair, because of that scout earlier, just going to go straight after that Overlord rather than sneaking in the back of the base. That's a pretty good idea of what he's going up against. And that Spire should be completed momentarily, and because I'm not seeing any Hydralisks being produced, actually there's a couple Hydralisks. I think that's just an obligatory Hydralisk to deal with that Corsair. Let's see if a couple Scourge or a couple Mulisks are produced in the mid-game. Incontrol not really known for his Mulisk play, and I think he's a lot stronger actually with his Ultra Ling, and then off Lurker basically through the mid-game. And I think that's the kind of game that he's really good with, and I think that's a solid game. Not as good with the Mutalisks, and I think a lot of players tend to underestimate him as a result because they're like, oh, he's not as good with the Mutalisks, therefore I should be able to take this easily. Corsair getting 2 Overlord kills. Another Overlord sneaking to that bottom right hand corner just to scout things out. Let's see if that Corsair decides to go after it. It looks like it's just going to go for that scout in the main. A couple Scourge have been produced. They might be able to take this Corsair out. And 3 gateways down. Looks like this is going to be a +1 speed Zealot attack. Weapons 1 about 2/3 finished. Corsair running up. Not being babysat though, and it looks like it's going to immediately get wiped out. Only taking a sliver of health off that Overlord in the meantime. But in the dark otherwise, and there's that Lurker upgrade for Incontrol, and he does have a good grouping of Mutalisks out in the field, and I don't see any additional Corsair being produced, so that was just 1 Corsair, and it looks like a couple cannons being placed otherwise in a robotics facility to kind of match that tech. Already a grouping of Zealots out in the field. Zergling running in to kind of get a spot at them, see how many have been produced on that front. So about 7 Zealots here, probably going to see a couple High Templar right after this. Let's see if we've already got the Templar Archives produced. So Incontrol in a pretty good position. He doesn't have very good protection over his secondary though, and here come the Mutalisks. And Incontrol going to be able to get a couple kills here. And as you can see, not as great with his Mutalisk micro, but still doing a pretty decent job of disrupting the mining pattern, those probes falling back. Let's see if 2 more cannons get laid. And he could be going to run into the main, going to get hit by a couple cannons, but he's in a great position to pick off some High Templar if he can just keep these Mutalisks around for a couple seconds. Looks like no Corsair being produced to kind of counter this. The second cannon going up in the mineral line. And the Zealots running up to try to force these Mutalisks to come back, and it looks like that is going to force those Mutalisks to come back to try to defend against this. So the Zealots just running out in the field. 2 creep colonies already placed, but it looks like the Zealots just going to run. No, they're going to engage these sunken colonies for a second there. I thought they're just going to run right by them and go directly into the main. It looks like they are going to be able to take both sunken colonies out, but they are going to get completely wiped out otherwise. So Praetor actually in a bad position, Incontrol, able to wipe out that first Zealot army, which really hurts a Protoss player. Now Lurker's being morphed. He's in dire risk of being contained at this stage because he just doesn't have a lot of units on the ground. Incontrol has map control, so let's see if Incontrol decides to go take a couple expansions here. Single Dark Templar running out in the field. That'll actually help even things up a little bit because that Dark Templar could feasibly go out to some of those expansions supposedly like this bottom right-hand expansion, do some disruption there. Mulisk running headlong into that Archon, one of them getting taken out. And a couple Zerglings are just going to hang out here at the mineral only and try to deny that into the mid-game. It looks like a Zergling also going to just chill in this upper left-hand corner, so Incontrol just scoping out the additional expansions out in the field, taking an expansion of his own. He's in pretty good position here. A couple lurkers freaking out here over the over at the secondary, but they're going to be drawn back onto the midfield. Looks like Carapace won in looks like melee coming online in the meantime. Single Zergling killed there by that Dark Templar. But a couple more gateways being produced by Praetor. He knows he's at risk of being contained, so he's got to produce a larger army to try to establish his additional expansion, plopping down a lot more gateways to pump troops here to try to establish himself against basically against Incontrol. Let's see if Incontrol just decides to pump drones or if he's pumping troops, and it looks like he is pumping a good amount of Hydralisks and a couple Scourge as well. So I think the plan now is to go for a Lurker contain. He's already got some Lurkers moving position. Just try to snipe those snipe those Observers with the Scourge as they come into position. Seeing about that Dark Templar, Keeley seeing those Scourge moving into the front, so Praetor might be wise to this. A single probe trying to sneak to the 6 o'clock, a Dark Templar chasing off some Zerglings. I'm not sure that was spotted. That Overlord, probe able to juke out of that Overlord range at least. Incontrol doing a pretty good job of kind of checking out all those expansions. Blank Psystorm there from Praetor, complete whiff against those Mulisks, and now that Lurker contain starting to be placed in that upper right. Dark Templar sneaking to that bottom right, and the Zerglings are engaging. It looks like it is going to get taken out, but going to get about 7 Zergling kills, and the Zealots managing to slip through that gap. Incontrol did not have it blocked. He didn't have any Lurkers at that position. Now the Mulisk's going to have to back off, and they're going to the wrong location. They're thinking he's going to go for another attack at that main or that secondary. Instead, they're rushing to this bottom right-hand corner. Beautiful position play here by Praetor. He is probably going to be able to take this expansion out. And that's exactly what he needs to do to try to stay in this game. Incontrol didn't even really get any use out of this expansion. Wasn't able to get any drones there to saturate it. Wasn't able to produce. So it's just 300 resource loss. Now we're going to run. Let's see if he escapes with these Zealots. No, he's going to continue with this attack. He's going to press up to this this natural expansion. There are 2 Sultan colonies here, as well as a Hydralisk, another hatchery being produced. The Mulisks coming back to home base, and Incontrol has a Lurker force in the middle of the field. There is no Absorber to help with this, but the Zealots at the moment going to have free reign. They're going to completely actually ignore this secondary. It looks like they're just going to kill a couple things, and let's see if they just run again back into the main. And they are. This time it looks like they're going to head. No, they're going to go to the secondary. No, now they're going to the main. They're going to split up. It looks like 3 to finish off that Sultan colony. The rest going to the main. Let's see what they can pick off here. It looks like they're just going to try to focus down that spawning pool. Already seeing that hive tech, and just going to make sure that adrenal glands upgrade is maybe halted. This is going to be close. 4 Zealots working against that. 1 Zealot left, completely taken out. So it looks like that adrenaline upgrade is in fact going to be online, but now Praetor pushing out of his base, and he's going to be able to wipe out a lot of this very weak attack force. Incontrol very clearly able to take out 1 observer, but a 2nd observer immediately there to support, and at the very least Praetor is going to be able to establish another base. But Incontrol in a pretty good tech position here. More Lurkers. It looks like the Zealots have been running wild. 7 kills on that 1 Zealot, actually, and it looks like 3 kills on the others. So Praetor doing a nice kind of distraction attack to get at least a couple kills here and there. And Incontrol once again trying to establish that bottom right-hand corner. Praetor, let's see what he can do with this. He's got a couple troops out in the field. Isn't quite taking his mineral only yet. I'm not quite sure why. There's a couple Mulisks here to the north, just kind of hanging out. And finally, it looks like he's actually going to move out with this attack force rather than establishing position. Rather than going for additional expansions, he's going to try to enact some damage on Incontrol's base. Maybe this is in reaction. Ooh, nice little counterattack here by Incontrol with just those couple Mulisks to draw this attack force back. But perhaps this is in reaction to that hive tech. He knows that Incontrol has gone for both expansions and tech, and he's gone light in troops, where Praetor has a very large army. His supply count is going to be much higher than Incontrol's. It looks like it's 138 to 90, and that's just the difference between all the gateways he's been pumping, and also, again, Incontrol's been going both tech and trying to go for expansions, which might be overextending himself, and Praetor going to try to capitalize on this. And it looks like he's going to send some Zealots into this upper left-hand corner, clear that Zergling, and maybe try to go up 2 bases, knowing that he doesn't need to pump units for the moment, because he probably still will, but he can work the economy both ways, take 2 expansions, still have map controls, still have the unit advantage, and Incontrol's just going to have to defend. Incontrol has a nice lurker patch right on that line right there, but instead it looks like another end around. Praetor going to attack this bottom right hand base, try to take out that 3 o'clock expansion once again. Unfortunately, his army split, and it looks like a couple of these High Templar going to end up here and separated from their attack force, and with not a lot of defense, but that Psystorm able to clear a lot of those Zerglings. Looks like 2 of the High Templar got killed by by their own storm, unfortunately. And now they are starting to regather. Praetor blaming lag for that. A nice little counterattack to, looks like, to just halt that expansion, that upper left, for just a second. And it looks like Praetor starting to push down on that natural expansion rather than that bottom right expansion. One Scourge able to pick off an observer, another observer picked off, so this army is going to have to hold up short against the lurkers at the very least. There are 3 Sutton colonies here, but Incontrol just does not. It looks like level 2 weapons versus level 1 carapace at the stage, and a lot of drones getting Psy-stormed, and that is a win for Praetor. Just getting those Psy-storms off, and now he's starting to back off with the rest of his units. He's still got a large army here ready to bear down and attack, at least at some location. Let's see if he whips around, and again he goes to that bottom right, and this is going to force Incontrol to produce a lot of troops, basically, rather than drones to fill back out his economy. And Praetor taking every base on the map at this is a crazy positional play. A couple Zerglings sneaking through. It looks like they're going to try to take out this upper left. Unfortunately, there's 2 Zealots there to greet him, and it's going to be 4 on 2, and I can't see them winning as a result. But Praetor taking a big lead here. And I'm not sure that Incontrol is really going to be able to come back into this. He is basically down, what is this? It looks like 5 bases. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 bases. He's trying to establish his 5, but I don't know that he can protect his bases, basically. Praetor has a much larger army out on the floor. He can basically go to that 6 o'clock location. Incontrol's just hoping he doesn't scout that 6 o'clock, because a task force of Zealots could just sneak down there, take that out, and Incontrol really wouldn't be able to do anything about it. Looks like Praetor is now getting some of that drone saturation out to those various expansions, but yeah, I'm not quite sure what he can do. He does have the Ultralisk Cavern up. Looks like he does have some Ultralisks out in the field as well. But I don't feel like it's enough, and I feel like there's plenty of Dragoons, Archons, and Zealots to really counter that, and there's not any Dark Swarm to really help those against those Archons, although there's not a lot of Archons out in the field. I'm only seeing that it looks like 3 Archons, but still. Anyway, it looks like he's now going to push up, now feeling, he's like, okay, I've got those bases established, I've got some cannons going up in that upper left, I got some cannons going up to the 12 o'clock. It makes it very difficult for Zerg to take that 12 o'clock location. Now he's going to run in to this Ultralisk force. Let's see if he takes out that 6, or if he goes to that bottom right. Looks like he's going to engage most of the army into the middle. Has 2 observers alongside, just 2 lurkers kind of in the mix. A pretty bad storm right there by Praetor. He's missing a lot there. It looks like the Zerglings are getting some pretty good hits on those Dragoons, which is exactly what they want to try to hit here, but that's a pretty big Protoss ball, I've got to say. Looks like he is going to back off, though, and I'm not quite sure the purpose of backing off here. 161 supply versus 111. He should be able to, I don't think he needs to commit his entire army, but he should commit something here to either the 6 or that bottom right to try to keep Incontrol's bases down. But honestly, I'm not sure that matters, because when you're even on bases, Protoss versus Zerg, and he's already got the unit position, he's ahead in supply. There's the commit of troops to the 6 with just the Zealots. Incontrol's going to lose this base. Praetor is going to be 1 base ahead, and whenever you're 1 base ahead, whenever you're even with bases, just like with Terran, when you're even as bases as Protoss, you end up winning the game. These Ultralisks look like they're just going to run headlong into a much larger force, just get worked out. They do have that armor upgrade. Doesn't look like they have the speed upgrade, but level 3 weapons already online, as well as level 2 armor. Zealot's able to take out that 6 o'clock, and it looks like Incontrol is in position just to get starved out through the long term, basically, which is going to be pretty dangerous. Looks like those lurkers. Oh, nice little storm there by Praetor, and he's really wiping these forces out. Incontrol in a very difficult position. First of all, he's behind on supply. He's behind on expansions now into the mid game, and he needs to be careful with these attack forces. It looks like he's going to try to wipe these Zealots out with just Zerglings. Not quite able to do so. But yeah, now Praetor, all he has to do is keep his macro up, and he'll end up taking this game. Although, yeah, and it looks like he doesn't have the best drone saturation to that upper left-hand corner, so it's effectively 4 bases, but nevertheless, 147 versus 88, and that's pretty sizable, although a lot of that is in probe, so let's try to keep that in mind as well. A couple, looks like some Ultralisks, some Zerglings able to push out, kill at least some remnants of that troop, but there should be reinforcements. Looks like some Dark Templar in the mix, and Dark Templar are very aggravating for Zerg opponent. Incontrol, if he's going to get back into this game, what he needs to do is he needs to start sniping expansions. I don't think the 12 o'clock's the best expansion to go for. He needs to start sniping this expansion in the upper left. Praetor knows it. He's already got some units in the middle of the base to kind of counter if there's an attack at his mineral only or that upper left-hand base. He's just not really worried about that 12 o'clock. With that gateway in the way, it just delays delay Zerg units so long that he can just push there. And in control, looks like he is going to make position attack here to the upper left. Praetor sees it because of that, the remnants coming across here, and it looks like he's going to be able to intercept it immediately, Psystorm everything, and do a lot of damage. It looks like there was a kind of a measly attack to that bottom left. I think that was just a scouting zealot down there to that, I'm sorry, bottom right. And yeah, it looks like it's wiped out. One thing I don't like that Praetor is doing is he's allowing these overlords just to hang out in the field, which is giving In Control pretty good vision of where that army's out or where the reinforcements are coming, things like that. Which I never like giving Zerg vision at any point of the game. I think it's a bad idea. It's a bad idea. But yeah, now it looks like he's just going to turn around, attack the 6 o'clock, make sure another expansion wasn't going up there. But he's going to be completely out of position for a counterattack from In Control. In Control now doing what he does best. In Control is brilliant about just this is actually his style of game where he can just sit back and catch his opponent off out of position and run in and do quick counterattacks, pick a couple things off. Looks like he is going to be able to run at this nexus in the upper left, and I think he's going to be there before this army can really catch up. He'll lose his army, but that's Zerg units are cheap. I think he's going to be able to take this Nexus out. Unfortunately for him, this wasn't one of Praetor's producing Nexuses, and I don't think Praetor's going to have too much trouble repositioning himself here. So, and he's probably going to end up losing these Ultralisks as well, without really doing any damage to his army. It looks like the rest of the Zerglings and an Ultralisk going to run down to the mineral only to try to do something here. And more Zerglings flooding through. Praetor's army is just trying to play catch up right now, and they're shooting the gap at the looks like the mineral only. They're going to be able to take down a couple cannons, might even be able to take out that Nexus. Unfortunately, he's completely mined out at this stage, but at the very least, might be able to get some supply down. A shuttle coming back. Looks like there's a couple Reavers in it, and basically Reavers plus cannons are the key to stopping any sort of late game Zerg attack, and it looks like the Zerglings might be able to take this Nexus out. It looks like they are focus firing. 3 Zerglings left, 2 Zerglings left, 1 Zergling left, and it looks like 190 health, and it stands. Praetor regathering up, but In Control able to immediately produce another sizable attack force, still trying to establish this 6 o'clock. Praetor immediately jumping on it, and he's going to just crash down on that 6 o'clock position again. But he's committing too much of his army again, and it looks like In Control once again going to capitalize by just doing another end around. This is In Control's game. This is really what I like seeing him. This is why I think he's a fun player to watch, and why I think he is, when he plays like this, I think he is an A-class foreigner player, just because, or maybe even an S-class up to that level, because he just is so good with his positional play. He's so good at exploiting the enemy when he's out of position, doing these brilliant counterattacks. That's the style of game I think he enjoys playing. That's the style of game I think he's good at playing. That's what players have trouble contending with, and he's going to be able to pick off the mineral only now. So all of a sudden, Praetor is down to 1 base. Just he doesn't have his mineral only anymore. He doesn't have his upper left-hand base. He does have the 12 o'clock expansion, but his his main and his secondary completely empty, and it looks like both of them are about to get taken out, although the Ultralists have been wiped. In Control, in the meantime, also running off 2 bases, so he needs to be a little bit careful, but looks like he's going to load up and try to take out that 12 o'clock expansion. As long as he can take out that 12, he will end up taking this game. So there's that nice swarm, the Zerglings wandering in. First Psystorm able to clear out some of the Zerglings, but not all of them. The rest of the Zerglings running in. They are going to be able to get that gateway down. Praetor swinging his army around. There are no, critically, specifically, I want to point out that there are no Reavers here at this 12 o'clock base. If there were any form of Reavers here, they would be able to really counter this. Looks like the army is going to be able to get there in time to defend, though, with the Dark Templar and the Archons. But nevertheless, another Nexus going up the mineral only. Praetor running a little short on bases here, still at the 1 o'clock, trying to reestablish his mineral only. In Control again, trying to take the 6. A single looks like 2 Dark Templar wandering in. They're going to wait for that base to go up, then attack and kill it. More Zerglings flooding through, and they're going to try to Psystorm at the gap. They're going to have to back off. But again, I feel like this is, you can just feel the momentum swing of the game. In Control playing the game he likes to play, and Praetor going in for a big counterattack. I don't like this move on his part, because he's risking his entire army here for kind of an attack, and I don't like this positioning either. Right near In Control's, basically right next to In Control's bases, right where you can reinforce a couple Ultralisks around the corner. He can't afford to lose his army. Where In Control can, because he's Zerg, he's got cheap units. He can afford Psystorming his own Dragoons a little bit there, and it looks like the Ultralisks able to run in, take out a couple of these very valuable troops. And Praetor being low on economy, yeah, I think he should have played much more defensive game. Looks like he lost his mineral only once again. So again, still just gonna have to work with that 12 o'clock. Has a little bit of an army left, but much smaller. Incontrol, in the meantime, maybe needs to think about establishing another base either at the 12th or the 6th. I'm not sure that he's going to have the troops to defend it, but at the very least he's able to reestablish himself. He's managed to equalize the troop count. As you can see, he's just about even. Usually you want to be a little bit ahead of Zerg, and ooh, looks like well, you want to be about, anyway, never mind. Let me actually commentate the game at hand. Looks like an Archon, a couple, you might be able to take out this base. I don't like this attack though, because this is all of Praetor's army once again. If this gets wiped out, he's not going to be able to defend that 12. So I really do not like this maneuver whatsoever, and that army does get wiped out. Now there's nothing to defend this 12 o'clock expansion except for basically latent defense, a couple cannons, and all it takes is one swarm and some cracklings, and that will be that. A single Dark Templar trying to work away at these Ultralisks. And Praetor does not have enough, he does not have the economy to rebuild his army very quickly. He should have stayed in more of a defensive position, held that 12 o'clock, maybe try to reestablish the upper left-hand corner instead. A single Dark Templar moving out. There is an Overlord there, so the Zerglings are going to be able to shift down on attack. Looks like they are fully upgraded as well. And now, yeah, just one Defiler to the 12, and these Ultralisks should be able to pound away at that without any trouble. Incontrol completely emptied his main, getting little light at his secondary, his mineral only also looking light. So there is a feasible risk of a starvation game, but I still think he's in a much better position than Praetor is right at this moment. So here's that Defiler wandering in. Looks like he is going to wander out Dark Swarm. Praetor now swinging in with some Zealots, some Dark Templar, but I think he's going to end up being a little bit late. Probes coming off the line to try to help defend, and another swarm going down. And oh man, all these cannons getting completely raked over. The probes not really providing any sort of defense. Couple Ultralisks delaying this attack from these Archons in the backfield. Let's see if some reinforcements are able to pour in and just focus fire the Nexus, and he'll be able to take that out pretty easily. And Praetor only 190 minerals. He cannot rebuild this Nexus. Looks like that Nexus getting worked down. Some Archons pushing in. Is he going to be able to save it? Nexus goes down, and it looks like Praetor is in fact going to lose this game with a brilliant comeback from Incontrol. Brilliant comeback. Just really playing well through that mid game, able to just exploit Praetor's troops out of position. That's, again, I feel like that is Incontrol's greatest strength, is map positioning, is he's just very good with his counterattacks. Now he's easily going to be able to establish the 6 o'clock. Praetor just has to watch while it happens. I don't think Praetor is even going to be able to protect his mineral only at this stage. And Incontrol in a pretty good position. Looks like he's producing a lot of Zerglings just to crash down on that mineral only. And yeah, Praetor, now he can't defend anything. Incontrol has map control. He can take the 6, he can take the 12. If he really wanted to, he could probably take that upper left-hand expansion. He's got fully upgraded Ultralisks chasing down an Archon here, and this is it. I just see a couple, an Archon and a bunch of gateways that really aren't producing anything. A couple High Templar, a couple Zealots here, but I don't think it's going to be enough, particularly with maybe some Plague, some Dark Swarm in the mix. Most likely Dark Swarm, with the, because late game Protoss tends to favor Templar because they're gas heavy rather than mineral heavy. You can still mine out of depleted gas. Zealots, however, still come into play a little bit here and there, so Plague can make them a little bit weaker, but it looks like we're going to see more Archons and Zealots. So Swarm the way to go. But yeah, this is a pretty sizable attack force. Looks like he's also got some Scourge. I think that might be a lag build right there, the SS, because your units didn't select the first time. It could feasibly be to pick off that Observer as well, but he doesn't have any Lurkers in, so I'm not sure that's really worthwhile. But able to push in, and this is going to be the remnants of the attack force. This is going to be the last base for Praetor. Praetor cannot afford to lose this, so he has to stand and fight, and it doesn't look like he has Psystorm really to fight this off. Yeah, no Psystorm. There's GG. Great game. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Special thanks to Incontrol, and sorry for getting this out so late. And Psionic and also Future, apologies for not getting the replay and putting this up instead. Hope to see you guys later. Special shout out to everybody on Team X and